Hi, I'm Bethany. Thanks for watching DIY comic illustration class. And this is the second class. So the first class you will have printed off the follow along drawings that are linked to the video and spend about 10 minutes having your students pick one of these that they haven't done yet and warm up. They can go home and add more to this if they would like to. So today will be, half the class will be kind of a group discussion. Each student needs to present their story and talk about it and talk about who they think their characters would be, and hopefully the other students will have input and ideas and things that could help make their story better, and talk to them about the fact that it'll be a 3-frame comic and what's going to go in each box. There can be writing in each box. There can be no writing at all if they have a story that they think they can tell completely just from the illustrations. There can be writing in one, there can be writing in just 2 of them, but it's up to your kids, it's up to their joke, and it's up to what they come up with. Do not be very harsh on judging what they do. The goal is to get them exposure to this, get them excited about this, and if it's not really great, but they're proud of it, then you need to be a good teacher and be excited with them. Art is not wrong, from my opinion, unless someone is paying you to do it, and no one's paying these kids to be comic illustrators. So their ideas are not wrong as long as they're appropriate. Give each student one of these, and as they are sketching their characters or their ideas at home, they can just put this underneath their sketchbook paper and they can see through it to make that 3-frame, those 3-frame lines, and they can work on it. So print one of these that's attached to this video for each one of your students, and make sure you put the hole punches on it so that they don't mess it up. So after your students have a very clear idea of what their joke is going to be, what their story is going to be, they need to work on who their characters are going to be. Here is a list of keywords that you'll want to go on Google Images or Pinterest and print up a bunch of papers that they can look at to start coming up with their characters and being inspired. So here I have boys' hairstyles, different mouths, different eyes, eyebrows, body shapes and body types. I did print some animals, just different kind of, these are good where they have the shape of the person before they actually put the details on the person. So take in your comic books and take in pages that you've printed. I'm not going to give them to you because that would be not legal for me. So you'll need to print your own. And if your student says, I really want a dog and I want this specific kind of dog, then help them find images on the internet safely or print images for them that are specific to that kind of dog. That way they can have that. For example, this student wants to do a comic strip about Great Danes, and so I am going to look up illustrated Great Danes and comic Great Danes and images of real Great Danes and bring them in for him to look at and work on his characters. Storyline is he had a joke, and one dog is saying to a bunch of other dogs, check this out, and then there's a toilet and he's thinking about what he's going to put in each one of his boxes, and somehow the end is going to be, and the best part, there are free refills. So the dogs are drinking out of the toilet. So we are talking about what his images are going to look like and how to turn that joke into something that will make sense. And also you can see that his middle frame as of now doesn't have any words, and that's fine. And he did a great job. I looked up on my phone picture of a Great Dane. He did a great job of using words to describe what he wanted his Great Danes to look like, and encourage your students to add words to their pictures so that they can make it perfect. This student, her original joke was, what kind of cats like to go bowling? And the answer is alley cats, like a bowling alley. And so her original idea was, here's this cat and it's bowling, and then a man comes up and says, or he's bowling, and then the cat says, no, only alley cats can come in here. And we talked about it as a class, and she is going to change, she's going to work on changing her characters to be two cats. One cat is the alley cat, and the other cat is like a rich cat, and the alley cat's going to say to the rich cat, you can't bowl here because it's only for alley cats. So it reinforces the joke a little better, and that's where the class needs to talk together, and everybody needs to participate in helping the joke make more sense. So I'm going to look up and print images of cats and bowling alleys for this student. This student is still kind of in the process of figuring out what she wants. She has a cat that has run away from home, and then she has an experience with a mean cat or some sort of mean animal. We thought maybe it could be like a raccoon or something like that, where it's scared and then the cat says, I'm out of here. So it's not the funniest illustration, but she is a very good artist, and I'm just letting her go with it, giving the input and giving ideas, but at some point you need to pull back as a teacher and just say, they are so excited about this, and I'm just going to encourage it and see what happens. For this student, they're doing a really great job of writing ideas on the bottom, things that I need to look up for them in print. And the original joke is, what kind of bone will a dog never eat? A trombone. She has decided she wants a Scotty dog, and I will look up those pictures, and probably a kitchen area and also a trombone. And so she needs to develop, all right, what do I want my dog to look like, and what do I want my person to look like? And so that joke, what it turned into was the dog is hungry and then says to its owner, I want a bone. And the owner gives the dog a trombone, and it doesn't want the trombone. So you can see how the joke turned into pictures and just a few words to go along with it. For this student, it says, how can you get 4 suits for $1? And the answer is buy a deck of cards. This will be a person. I will look up deck of cards. I will look up a store. They want a storefront with suits. I will bring in those kind of images. And so you can see how the joke went from being literal to having the pictures describe what's going on. With this student, they have some sort of story that they had made up. And someone's telling this person, and it's great that they use stick figures just to figure out what they want to do, saying come straight home after school, and other person says I can't because I live around the corner. So if they go straight home, straight in a direct straight line to their house, then they will have to go through a fence. They end up going through the fence. It's up to the student to decide what they want their characters to look like based on the pictures I brought in and comic illustration books, and make sure your students don't copy something that they've already found. They need to make up their own version. And also, I will look up fences and a house. This student had, the original joke was, how did the farmer mend his pants with cabbage patches? Which is funny, and she had a few jokes that just weren't working, and so we switched jokes, I think 3 times before we finally came up with one that she felt was funny. She wanted a reaction. She definitely wanted a funny reaction. So we kind of had to work on getting the right joke for her. And so we've got the farmer, and he's got holes in his pants, and then he's going to go get cabbages. She will make it look like the farmer is sewing the cabbage onto his pants. And I will look up garden pictures, cabbage pictures, farmer pictures, real ones and illustrated ones. I went to the bank the other day, and an elderly woman asked me to check her balance. So I pushed her over. So I will look up bank images and an elderly woman and a cane and probably a computer, and that dollar sign needs some work, and what it looks like to have a person on the floor. Finally, this student does a lot of comic illustration on his own. He fills blank comic books. I'm letting him go with whatever he wants to do because he pushed back in a very polite way, and I really want him to enjoy my class. He's kind of doing his own thing. I'm not exactly sure what the storyline is yet. He wasn't excited about telling me, and so I'm just going to respect that. And I know he will come up with a product that he's proud of. So if you want to show this video to your class, you can. The homework is to fill several pages of sketching ideas for their characters. Keep working on their characters until they hopefully come up with exactly what they want. And the best way to do that is to use tracing paper. So if you say, for instance, my character, I had sketched her here, and then I say, well, I think I want her hair to be a little taller, and I like her eyes, so I'm going to keep those the same, but I want her legs to be longer, I want her dress, the waist of her dress to be brought down. Just use tracing paper until you eventually come up with exactly what you want. At this point, we are only working on the characters from the front. Do not work on the backgrounds any further right now or anything else, just what the characters look like from the front. Make sure that the students don't draw on their 3-frame template. They will put paper over top of that, but they don't want to ruin that clean template. Make sure your kids have access to you as a teacher, that they have permission to either text or call or email you if they have questions. Make sure in this class and every class you respect what your student might be displaying to you as far as embarrassment, whether they like input from other students or whether they'd rather have you just come around one-on-one and whisper quietly next to them, or if they maybe even want to go off in the corner where no one else can see what they're doing. That way they're not quite so self-conscious about what they're producing. Encourage each one of the students to write the original joke on the top of their paper. That way they remember what their goal was. Do a good job of jotting down what each student needs you to print out for them each week. If your students would like to take home one of the example pages that you had printed out, make sure that you let them do that, as long as there aren't several kids that want the same page. And so by next week, each of the students needs to bring to class each one of their characters sketched as best as they can. These won't be their finished products, but as best as they can from the front.